Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast with your hosts Griffin Palmer, CJ Hickman, Jason Cabrera, and Ryan Mitchell.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the show. It is Friday, July 27th, my birthday. This is the Fantasy Football Fanatics podcast, the official podcast of thefantasyfootballfanatics.com. I'm your host, Griffin Palmer, joined by absolutely nobody. There was a scheduling conflict with both Jason and CJ. CJ's was foreseen. Jason was spur of the moment. Things happen. But you know what that means? We're going to push our tight end rankings to Tuesday because we really want everybody to be here to defend their rankings. I think we all still pretty much, for the majority, kind of like the quarterbacks, we more or less agree with each other in the early rankings, but when we get to the running back, wide receiver, holy crap, do we get some discrepancies, so that'll be fun. So we're going to push those rankings till Tuesday so everybody can be here. In the meantime, you know what that means. We're going to do a mock draft. Everybody always wants the mock drafts. I'm here by myself. We're going to cover the news, and we're going to jump right into one. We're going to have a good time, guys, and then I'm going to get out here to celebrate my birthday today. So I hope everybody has a great Friday. Hope you all have a great weekend. I plan to do the same, and let's get right to it. As always, make sure you guys subscribe wherever you're listening, whether that be here on YouTube, if you're watching a video with a logo floating in it. If you are listening on iTunes or on Stitcher or Podcast Addict or wherever you are, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the show out a ton. Keep listening. Rate, review the show. Helps us out more than we can possibly say. And if you'd like to go a step further and help us keep these lights on, head over to patreon.com/thefantasyfootballfanatics. Get yourself some bonus perks. And maybe one of these days we'll be able to actually afford a new camera. So that'd be nice, considering the old one broke in the studio move. So it's unfortunate. Anywho, let's get right into the news, guys. We'll start the quarterback position, where Indianapolis Colts head coach Frank Reich said that quarterback Andrew Luck will play in the team's first preseason game. Now, guys, I cannot stress to you how huge this news is, because the assumption here, and even the skeptics of CJ, obviously not a big believer at all, Jason a little bit more hesitant as well, very much expecting not to see Andrew Luck until week 1 of the regular season. So the fact that the team feels good enough to roll him out there in the preseason, I think, speaks volumes. Now, this could easily be what is pretty typical, where we'll see maybe one series and he's done. Maybe it's only one set of downs. Who knows? But just the fact that they would put him out there, to me, that is a massive positive sign. I'm still not shooting him all the way up my draft boards because I need to see it, but I am very confident in advancing him slowly up the board, so that's great news to me. We'll go to Philadelphia, where Eagles quarterback Carson Wentz is still targeting a week 1 return coming back from that knee injury, so that's good news. By all accounts, he's expected to be a participant in the preseason, or maybe not in the preseason, but in training camps, and if he's ready to go by week 1, that would be huge for the Eagles. I still stress that it's not going to be 100%, especially coming back this late into the offseason. I just don't see a way that we're going to see Carson Wentz of 2017 here in 2018. Even if he's back, they're going to be much more conservative with him. I still think he's going to be a fantastic fantasy option, but I think that the hype surrounding him right now is what we'll see in 2019. I still expect him to be a number 1 quarterback for fantasy this season, but where exactly remains to be seen. That's why we had some discrepancy on Tuesday's show. If you want to hear a quarterback ranking breakdown, go back and listen to Tuesday's show. A lot of good information there. Let's go to Houston, where Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson passed his physical. He is, quote, good to go. Huge news, everybody. So, again, a quarterback coming back from injury. Ready to go. Ready to start the training camp, the preseason, the regular season. I mean, hey, the skeptics out there, myself included, want to see a larger sample size. It looks like we're going to get it, provided he can stay healthy. So that's exciting news there. Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach Dirk Cutter said that the plan is that quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick will start week 1. So that's no surprise. That was basically what we had been hearing. And I think it is Ryan Fitzpatrick's job to lose until they get Jameis Winston back. ESPN's Rick Kamini, he reports that, I think that's how you say his name, that the New York Jets are open to trading quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Now this out of all the news, I think, was a little bit surprising, but also not at all unexpected, if that makes any sense. I mean, for starters, the Jets, they have 3 pretty darn good quarterbacks on the roster. Obviously, they paid a lot of money to bring back Josh McCown. Josh McCown is going, I expect, to be the week 1 starter. I assumed that it was going to be Teddy Bridgewater, if healthy, that was going to be pushing for that number 1 job, and I thought, honestly, we'd probably see Teddy this season. Coming in on a 1-year deal. But the thing is, they have Sam Darnold, number 3 overall pick. I completely expect that they want him to win this job, but I just don't. And a lot of analysts out there are in the same camp. We don't want to see Sam Darnold this season. We want him to have a season to sit. We want this team to have better pieces around him so he will be able to grow as a quarterback and not get shell-shocked this season. Now, if he shows really, really well, and they could maybe get a mid-round pick for Teddy Bridgewater is going to be gone. So I think that's part of what we're hearing here. They're open to trading him. They're going to hope that he goes out there in the preseason, shows that he's healthy, lights it up, and maybe they'll get a good value for him in training camp. Maybe somebody gets hurt late in training camp, early in the season, and then they've got just a golden ticket for that team. So Teddy Bridgewater could be a nice piece. I'm really surprised more teams weren't in on the bidding on Teddy, but obviously coming back from injury, it was all skeptics. So the Jets could walk away with some nice value here if they are able to move the young quarterback. So Teddy Bridgewater, open for trading. Let's go to the running back position, where Buffalo Bills running back LaShawn McCoy did report to camp, so that was as indicated. Obviously, we're still waiting on more news about all the off-the-field concerns. We'll leave it there. Let's go to Minnesota, where Vikings running back Dalvin Cook reportedly is planning to be a full go in Vikings training camp. Also, super exciting news, went down with that non-contact injury, sinking, I guess you can't really say he sunk fantasy teams because it's not like he was a first, second-round pick, but I took him pretty early in a number of leagues. I got him for a decent value in our league of record, which is an auction draft. It hurt him going down like that, but it looks like he'll be back, and I expect him to be very explosive on a very good team this season, a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So Dalvin Cook, a guy who you could get for a sneaky value in the second round. Let's go to Baltimore, where Ravens running back Kenneth Dixon reportedly left the field with a trainer about 40 minutes into the practice, and he did not return. Oh, boy. So, Kenneth Dixon, if you're not familiar with the saga that is Kenneth Dixon, he's not a high draft pick. He was a fourth-round pick back in 2016, but he was one of those guys that slipped. A lot of people were shocked to see that he was still there. Some cited it off the field, some cited injury. He's been showing the injury side of things and the off-the-field side of things so far in his career. This was kind of his golden ticket season. They didn't bring in any big-name guys. He was expected to be one of those guys that was going to be probably a second-round running back. The Ravens snagged in the fourth. He was due to come in and do it all because Buck Allen is a really good pass-catching back. Alex Collins, who I now completely believe will be the starter, especially if Kenneth Dixon is banged up, is a really good first, second down back who can catch the ball. Kenneth Dixon does it all. So this is good news for Alex Collins, truthers out there, anyone who has him in best ball or keeper leagues. Bad news for all of you who have been stashing Kenneth Dixon in dynasty leagues. I am among that list of people. So it's concerning. It's something to monitor, and this will have repercussions in the Baltimore backfield committee. So, yeah, Kenneth Dixon injured. We'll let you guys know when we know more. Let's go to the wide receiver position, where the Atlanta Falcons and wide receiver Julio Jones have reportedly agreed to a revised contract that adjusts his 2018 salary. Now, this means he will be showing up, as the team announced, and that the move is a cap-neutral deal, so it will not affect other deals going on. It only affects this season. So that's interesting. Details yet to come. I was pretty shocked to hear this, honestly, because he's got 3 years left on his deal. He's still making a decent chunk of change. Yeah, he's being underpaid compared to a lot of players. He should not be being paid less than, but that's the nature of the NFL, guys. We're talking about these Le'Veon Bell contracts. Todd Gurley just got a big boy contract, and all of this is going to be overshadowed by deals 2-3 years down the line from now. We'll be talking about how these guys are massively underpaid. That's just the way it works. Everything keeps inflating. Nothing is stagnant, and that's just kind of the way it works. So unless a position completely dies out and it kind of resets itself, which rarely, if ever, happens. So prices are going to keep going up, the cap's going to keep going up, and that's the evolution of football. So yeah, Julio Jones looks like we may see him as a full go this season after all. The Cleveland Browns have reportedly discussed bringing in unrestricted free agent wide receiver Dez Bryant, so that's interesting news. It's already a very congested situation in Cleveland. Obviously, we all know about the big acquisition this season, the offseason, bringing in Jarvis Landry. Corey Coleman, whether you love him or hate him, he's still there, and he's a guy that he was a first-round wide receiver that I know the team has talked about shopping, but a lot of people have seen the flashes, and they think that if he can put it together, he could be a really nice piece. And let's not forget about the one and only Josh Gordon. He is currently not with the team. Now that this is, we don't know anything else yet. He says physically he's good to go. It seems to be mental. It could be drug related. Who really knows? We don't have any details. But when he comes back, he's a massive addition. He did not report to the team as of yet, though. Oh, that's right. They also have Jeff Janis. I kind of forgot about that. So a developed wide receiver coming out of Green Bay. So maybe they're thinking Dez Bryant can fill that Josh Gordon role until Gordon gets back. But this is not something that excites me for fantasy because as I've broken down extensively, Hugh Jackson's team has not thrown the ball a lot at all. They bring in Tyrod Taylor, a guy who has not thrown for 4,000 passing yards, close to it only a couple times in his career. There's just not a high-volume offense. They've got people who are going to demand a lot of touches. Let's not forget that they have Carlos Hyde in the building who can catch the ball. Rookie Nick Chubb can catch the ball. They also have tight end David Njoku in the house, who, I mean, he's a very talented guy out of last year's draft, first-round pick. If Dez goes there, it makes him – I'm not interested, if I'm honest. I don't think he'll have enough volume to give you a floor worth having, and his ceiling may be obviously Dez Bryant potential, but that's going to be unbelievably touchdown dependent, and touchdowns are hard to predict. So maybe it's a super late-round flyer, but I wouldn't be looking any earlier than that. As of right now, this is just news, so something to monitor, but I don't think it impacts fantasy very much if he does get signed. Let's go to New York, to the Jets, who are waiting for word on the possible league discipline for wide receiver Robbie Anderson. He remains, quote, under review by the NFL, end quote. So obviously with the arrest that happened, it's a whole story that we're not going to get into because it's a little inappropriate for the young listeners what was said in exchange, but he was arrested early in the offseason. Some things have happened. Charges were revoked. League's possibly still going to lay some discipline down. I mean, he did break kind of the player conduct policy here, whether it was related to the charges or the arrest procedures. So I'm expecting him to miss some time, honestly. So we'll see how it all shakes out as we get more news. And the Cleveland Plain Dealer reports that the vibe is that should have talked about this while I was talking about Browns news. The vibe is that wide receiver Jarvis Landry will start on the outside, and that's a quote this season. Huh? He's a slot receiver through his career. That's where he has thrived. I think he'll play some outside, but I think he will be manning the slot. That's what he does. He is the best, probably, I would say safely, easily top 3. You can make an argument for the best slot receiver in the league, especially with players like Larry Fitzgerald really moving to the outside. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's worth discussing. It affects his PPR upside, but, I mean, who knows? We got to see some games, guys. We got to see how they're actually using them. And let's go to the tight end position, where Washington Redskins tight end Jordan Reed says that he feels 100 times better than he did in 2017. Well, that's great, considering you were injured in 2017 and missed a bunch of games. Everyone feels better until they get hurt again, Jordan Reed. So that's not exciting. That's just an offseason trope. And if you don't believe me, let's go to Cincinnati, where Bengals tight end Tyler Eifert said that he is 100% certain. Again, that 100, it's so... Once you know what you're looking for, a lot of these things, they're just so cookie cutter. 100% certain he will be ready for week 1, obviously coming back from his back injury. So, good news for some incredibly boom-bust tight ends, unbelievably productive when they're out there, but both unbelievably injury-prone. So, I mean, you take what you can get. That's why these guys are not going in the Rob Gronkowski range anymore. They're going down draft boards because everyone has caught on to the fact they're never healthy. With that, let's go and let's move into it. Why you guys are here based on the title that you would have seen when you're downloading this. It's not the tight ends like we promised. That's on Tuesday. We are going to be doing a standard mock draft. Now, we're going to do plenty more of these when the guys are here because my personal favorite, and I know you guys love when we talk about the when we do the consensus drafts where all 3 of us draft the team together because you get to hear our inner thoughts, our arguments, our kind of debates on how we should be approaching situations and who we should wait on, who might make it back to us, injury concerns. It all kind of comes together in those shows. Those are my favorite shows to do besides the auction special because I love auction. But I'm here by myself. We're going to do a standard mock draft. Now, this is a 12-team league. I randomly generized the draft spot, so I have generated. I have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex position, kicker defense, 6-player bench. I generated the number 4 position, so it's about as standard as it gets, and I have Todd Gurley, Le'Veon Bell, and Ezekiel Elliott off the board, which leaves me a guy who I think is an obvious pick. And why would I ever pass him up? That is one David Johnson. I think a guy who should be in conversation for the number 1 pick. So getting him at number 4 is it's pretty nice. Let me hide drafted players. So Antonio Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Odell Beckham Jr., wow, a bunch of wide receivers, all went next. Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Melvin Gordon, Kareem Hunt. Top of the second, Dalvin Cook, Julio Jones, Devonta Freeman, Michael Thomas, Keenan Allen, Devontae Adams, A.J. Green, and LaShawn McCoy all went. So that leaves me in a situation. Now, I am not thinking quarterback. I'm not thinking tight end, so let's throw that right out the window. I'm also not thinking kicker. I'm not thinking defense. My options here, do I go with another sure thing at running back, knowing this is a short run, and the upper echelon of talented running backs, there's a couple guys that are still here that I like, or do I go get an upper echelon wide receiver? Now, I'm of a believer that the wide receiver position is much, much deeper this season. I love a lot of guys who aren't even being drafted. So my gut tells me let's go get our 2 stud running backs, and then we can just load up on wide receivers. Because my options at wide receiver right now are Mike Evans, which if Jameis Winston was going to be there the whole time, I'm all about it. Honestly, Ryan Fitzpatrick, I don't hate it because Ryan Fitzpatrick loves his wide receivers. He does not use his tight ends at all, which is obviously a concern for Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard fans out there. So I could get behind Mike Evans, but at the end of the day, it's still Ryan Fitzpatrick out there. That's risky in the second round. Doug Baldwin, who is a guy that I just don't think is worth a second-round pick. I mean, he could easily return on that value, but it's a big question mark. T.Y. Hilton, I mean, obviously, if Andrew Luck comes back, that's great value right in there. But as of right now, we don't know how he's going to work out through the preseason. We're hearing great things. So, I mean, it could be a missed opportunity for me right now, but I would rather get the running back because then it's Adam Thielen, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs. And these are, if I can get any one of those wide receivers at the early third, I'm okay with that. But on the running back side, I have, and this is what I'm looking at, I've got Jordan Howard, who I expect very much to be a 2-down back, so I think he's going to get a large volume of work, but I don't know how much I like his ceiling. Jerick McKinnon, which, I mean, if you're a believer in the San Francisco Kyle Shanahan-led offense, he's a great guy to pick up right here in the second round. I don't like his second-round value. Christian McCaffrey, a guy who I am not anticipating to have the lion's share of the carries. I think at best it's going to be a 50-50 split. And then I'm looking at Joe Mixon. Now, Joe Mixon is a guy who I think in real drafts is going to slip. He's a guy who burned a lot of people, and I think that the people are going to be jumping on a lot of those other names I've mentioned to this point. I think there's a real chance he even gets back to me in the third, but I'd rather not risk it. I'd rather lock down my 2 stud, 3-down running backs and get any one of a ton of wide receivers that I still really, really like. So that's what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to go ahead and grab Joe Mixon because I think he has a breakout sophomore year. Offensive line is better. He's had a chance to adjust to the NFL level. Speed, he's got experience. He's bulked up. I like Joe Mixon this season. So let's do that. Joe Mixon's on my team. Rob Gronkowski went next. Christian McCaffrey and Jerick McKinnon at the end of the second. Top of the third. Mike Evans did go. Tyreek Hill. And then Aaron Rodgers, first quarterback off the board. So here I am. I'm sitting. And you know what? T.Y. Hilton's still out there. You know what? I am, and my rankings reflect this. I'm a believer in Andrew Luck. I think in the third round, you could be getting a number 1 wide receiver and for fantasy. And we've seen him be a very, very good one at that. He gets a lot of volume. I'm going to go ahead and, because he was productive even last year with the carousel of quarterback that he was dealing with. Let's do it. I'm going to get T.Y. Hilton. I don't have much exposure to him this season. Let's see how I like my team when it's all said and done. Jordan Howard went next, then it was Doug Baldwin. Larry Fitzgerald snuck up. Adam Thielen did go after that. Travis Kelce. Josh Gordon still getting drafted, so people aren't paying attention to the news, but maybe they expect he'll be back in time. Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper at the end of the third. Top of the fourth, we have Allen Robinson, Derrick Henry. All right, there's a believer. Juju Smith-Schuster, Kenyon Drake, Zach Ertz. Man, we're getting quite a few tight ends in the first couple rounds. Alex Collins, that could be great value if bad things happen to Kenneth Dixon. Darius Geis, kind of hoping he would make it back to me. I need wide receiver help, so probably wouldn't have grabbed him, but it would have been really nice to get. And then Demaryius Thomas. I am back on the board. I have 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver. I needed another wide receiver, so I can get a guy like Alshon Jeffrey, which I've not been a big believer in throughout his career. But he was very good last season. I think that he could be even better this year. A second year in the system, some consistency. They've upgraded the weapons around him that I think will distract from him even better. Golden Tate and Marvin Jones are both sitting out there. I would rather have Marvin Jones and Golden Tate. It's a standard league, so the PPR upside of Golden Tate is not as exciting to me. Brandon Cooks, a guy that clearly the Rams believe in. I'd love to get him in the 5th round. I don't think he makes it back to me, though. Michael Crabtree, a lot of volume. Jarvis Landry, Sammy Watkins. These are all guys that are out there. You know what? I'm going to go because I have T.Y. Hilton, who is very much a high floor guy. I'm going to go with a little bit more of a boom-bust side for my wide receiver, too, a guy who can win me some weeks. And I'm going to grab Alshon Jeffrey. I'm going to see how I like my team when this is said and done. These are 2 wide receivers that I wouldn't normally target, maybe not in an auction league for sure. So to get both of them, I'm very much okay with that here to see how I like my team because I've got David Johnson and Joe Mixon at running back, T.Y. Hilton and Alshon Jeffrey wide receiver. I mean, I could easily have number 1s across the board right now when the season's said and done, and I'm 4 rounds in. So Rashad Penny went next. Good luck with that. Brandon Cooks, did go after that. Golden Tate went top of the 5th. We have Jay Ajayi, Mark Ingram. Ooh, 5th round for Mark Ingram. That is just insane to me. And then Jarvis Landry did go. So I'm in an interesting position here. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers. As I said before, I think the wide receiver position is unbelievably deep. Yet running backs, not so much. But I've got a guy staring me in the face, which is very polarizing. Some people are going to love this guy. Some people are going to absolutely crucify me for saying that I'm going to pick this guy right here. But it's a guy whose backup is injured. It's a guy who finally has a good quarterback and supporting cast around him, and I think can possibly put it together. And I don't think obviously he's not going as a first, second round guy anymore, but in the 5th round, ladies and gentlemen, Lamar Miller. I believe that Lamar Miller will at least give me a floor that will support a 5th round pick, and I think that his upside is that of a 2nd round running back. I wouldn't take him in the 2nd round, but I think he could deliver on that production, provided he stays healthy. And if everything gets going, the passing game gets going like it did last year, or resembles what it did last year with Deshaun coming back. It's too good to pass up. Lamar Miller on my team. Tom Brady went next. There's our 2nd quarterback, followed by Russell Wilson. So a couple quarterbacks back-to-back. Marshawn Lynch, then there he is, Deshaun Watson, speak of the devil. So 3 quarterbacks go and 4 picks behind me. Marvin Jones, Will Fuller, there he is, Chris Hogan, and Carson Wentz. Bunch of quarterbacks flying off the board now. Top of the 6th, Ronald Jones II. So rookie for running back for Tampa Bay. It's interesting because we're not hearing any definitive information as of now. Cam Newton went. A lot of quarterbacks. Jimmy Graham. That's too bad. Corey Davis, Sony Michel, Greg Olsen, Marlon Mack, and Sammy Watkins. I am back on the board with 3 running backs, 2 wide receivers. I'm definitely, no, sir. I am not thinking quarterback. I'm not thinking tight end. You will not sway me, draft recommendations. So at the running back position, I have Royce Freeman, who I don't necessarily believe will be the starter for Denver, at least not to start the season. I have Dion Lewis, who I think could actually be the workhorse back. I think he's in a good position to be the lead guy. Just because he's a 3-down back, and I know that's what they're gonna want in Tennessee. But they've got big bruiser Derrick Henry that the team really likes, and that's why it's a confusing situation, which is why I'm going to probably stay clear, even though it's a 6th round. Tevin Coleman, a guy who is also very good standalone value, but he is backup. Rex Burkhead, same situation. C.J. Anderson, I think he's going to be the first, second down back, but we'll see. Kerryon Johnson, Jamal Williams. I'm hoping to get either one of those with my next pick, maybe even the pick after, depending on how things shake out, which is why I am looking away from running back and looking at wide receiver, where I'm looking at players like Michael Crabtree, who will be the number 1 receiver for Baltimore. That's a pretty nice floor. The ceiling's not super high, but I think the floor is nice. Pierre Garçon, I mean, there's a lot of different ways to look at the San Francisco 49ers pass-catching group, the way they're going to call things, the way they're going to run out things. But either way, I think that his floor is very, very high for a 6th-round pick. Devin Funchess, I don't really want any part of him in the 6th round for Carolina Panthers. He's a guy I love streaming last season, but I don't want to invest early mid-round picks on the guy. Emmanuel Sanders, same situation. Robert Woods interests me a little bit. And then Robbie Anderson, who, of course, probably facing a suspension. So the debate is, do I go with the number 2 receiver in Los Angeles or the number 1 receiver in Baltimore? I'm going to go with, I think that Michael Crabtree is a safe floor, obviously ceiling upside. We've seen the Anquan Boldens, the Derek Masons, the Steve Smith seniors, that one guy in Baltimore that's viable, and that is going to be Michael Crabtree this season. So in the 6th round, I can invest in that. Robert Woods, I like a lot, don't get me wrong, and if this was an auction league, I'd probably let Crabtree slide and go for Woods, but I like the upside, so I'm going to do it. Yeah, Michael Crabtree on my team. He gives me a high floor with a higher ceiling. If this was PPR, it would easily be Michael Crabtree. So, yeah, I'll do that. Julian Edelman was picked next. Interesting because he's suspended. Evan Ingram, Drew Brees. Top of the 7th, Devin Funches, Kirk Cousins. Royce Freeman was picked, and now here I am. Oh, man. I have 3 of each. 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, which means I only have 2 more wide receivers to go, and I have 3 more running backs because I like to leave my drafts with 5 to 6 running backs. Man, there's a lot of guys I like it there. This is my long run. So if I want to get a piece of Kerryon Johnson or Jamal Williams, I have to do it now, I think, because I expect there to be a run at running back. The position's starting to dry up, so people are going to want to snipe some talent soon. There's a lot of wide receivers I like that are in kind of a tier grouping together. A lot of names I actually really, really like out there, so I'm going to hope one of those guys make it back to me. And so it comes down to those 2 guys. There's also Carlos Hyde, which is an interesting proposition, but the injury risk is a concern. I'm going to go with Jamal Williams here. Jamal Williams, we know, is going to be the starter at the beginning of the season. I think he can solidify that role. Aaron Jones, I just don't think he's as good as Jamal Williams. I know he was very explosive, but Jamal Williams was consistently good. He does all 3 phases, and he looked really good when given the opportunity last season, and he gets a couple weeks to play as the lead back with Aaron Jones suspended. So I'm going to invest high on this guy. 7th round is not really high. It's middle of the draft. And if he looks really, really good, I can probably move him to somebody who's not paying attention. So, yeah, I'm going to grab Jamal Williams here. Yeah, a lot of wide receivers I think are still going to make it back to me. So, screw it. Let's roll the dice. Robbie Anderson went next. Well, there you go. Jamison Crowder, Andrew Luck in the 7th round. Kind of hoping he was going to slip further. Pierre Garçon, I wanted that stack with T.Y. Hilton. Let's see. Jimmy Garoppolo, Matthew Stafford, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cooper Kupp all went at the back of the 7th. Top of the 8th, there's Calvin Ridley. Hey. Kyle Rudolph, Deion Lewis did go. Tevin Coleman, the Jacksonville Jaguars defense in the 8th. Rex Burkhead, Devontae Parker went, dang it. And Jordy Nelson in the 8th. You could make an argument that that's just way too early. So now I've got a guy staring me right in the face. Actually, I got a couple. Ooh, there's a lot of guys I like. Oh, man. So, here's what I'm dealing with, people. I have David Johnson, Joe Mixon, Lamar Miller, and Jamal Williams at running back. At wide receiver, I have T.Y. Hilton, Alshon Jeffrey, and Michael Crabtree. So, the fact that it's my short run. There's still C.J. Anderson, Kerryon Johnson, Isaiah Crowell, Carlos Hyde out there. If I get any one of those guys, I'll be really happy leaving this draft with my running back core is going to be insane. At wide receiver, though, I expect most of these guys to go because I think they're just more likely to be picked. Robert Woods, who I was talking about before, he's still out there. Randall Cobb, love him or hate him, he's going to get a lot of volume. Marquise Goodwin, he's a guy that's obviously the rising name on most people's boards in San Francisco. Kenny Stills, a great floor. Rashard Matthews, another good guy. Sterling Shepard, Nelson Aguilar. I like a lot of these guys, but to me, I think Robert Woods is the one that stands out. I like the consistency. I think he has what it takes to have just a great season. And Cooks can only do so much. It's going to go multiple ways. Robert Woods is that other outside guy, and he was usable in all types of formations and plays. Yeah, I'm screwed. I'm internally debating. I'm doing it. Robert Woods, he's on my team. Randall Cobb did go next. Marquise Goodwin, Tyreek Cohen went. There's a Swiss Army knife. That's kind of a steal in the 8th. Top of the 9th, Chris Thompson, Sterling Shepard did go, and the Rams defense. So now it's my long run, and I'm gonna grab one of these guys. So the question is, do I grab C.J. Anderson, who is going to be splitting carries with Chris McCaffrey, and we don't know in what way. Isaiah Crowell, who I expect to be the starter, but who knows for how long or how much that team's going to have the ability to have a lead. And we saw last year if that he doesn't catch the ball. So if the team loses its lead, he probably won't see the field very much. Carlos Hyde, who's an injury risk, or do I go with Kerryon Johnson, a guy who I think has what it takes to win the Lions running back or lead running back position? I think he's the one that has the highest ceiling here. Carlos Hyde could be that next guy, But Kerryon Johnson, I think, has a lower floor because of the muddled situation, but I think the ceiling is a running back 1. For fantasy, maybe a running back 2. So 9th round, I like that. C.J. Anderson, I think, is going to have a similar upside, but the volume split is scary. Isaiah Crowell, there's the team around him. Carlos Hyde injury. So yeah, you know what? Screw it. I'm going for it. Let's roll the dice. Kerryon Johnson, he's going to be on my team. It's probably not well. I would love to take him late in the 9th, early 10th, but he won't be there. I guarantee it because I'm picking early 9th. So yeah, he's on my team. Carlos Hyde went with the next. Oh, man, run at running backs. I'm glad I made a move. Carlos Hyde went. Duke Johnson went. C.J. Anderson, Isaiah Crowell, Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb. Wow, that's a lot of running backs. Alan Hearns, DJ Moore went. Top of the 10th. We have Nelson Aguilar. We have Doug Martin. Late round upside in Doug Martin. Interesting. Ty Montgomery went. Same situation. Kelvin Benjamin. James White. Same thing. Wow, a lot. See, Now people are kind of taking shots in the dark at running back, so I love my running back core. I have so much good depth there. Chris Carson. Oh, good luck with that. Delaney Walker and Theo Riddick. So here I am. It is the 10th round. I can officially start looking in other directions. Now, according to the rules of my draft philosophy, I still need one more running back and one more wide receiver. There's an unbelievable amount of wide receivers I still really, really like out there. There's not as many running backs, but none that I think are worthy of this round's value. But there's a tight end staring me in the face, and that's Trey Burton. I could get Trey Burton in the 10th round, and I really like that. Now, I could wait. I could get rounds later, I could get probably a Jordan Reed, an Eric Ebron, a Tyler Eifert, a Charles Clay. All guys I really, really like. But Trey Burton is one of those, I think he could be a set it and forget it type guy. Or do I go out and I get myself my starting quarterback? Phillip Rivers is staring me in the face, as is Matt Ryan and Jared Goff, Ben Roethlisberger. There's a lot of guys. So where do I go? Wide receiver, again, too many guys that I just don't think I need to pull the trigger here. It's a short turn. Tight end, Jordan Reed's that last sure thing. Everybody else I think has a lot of upside, but they've got a lot of question marks. Running back, they're not worth the value. One of these quarterbacks is going to make it back to me. So you know what? Screw it. I'm gonna go for it. This has been a very young player, rookie, players in new positions type draft for me. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my hands on Trey Burton. I got my tight end. I did it, guys. Double digits. Earlier than I normally probably would, but I feel good about it. Rashard Matthews went. Deonta Foreman, Jordan Reed. Top of the 11th, Cameron Meredith. Des Bryant, interesting. And Matt Breida. So here I am in the 11th round. No quarterbacks taken. I'm going to grab my guy, which is Phillip Rivers. Ben Roethlisberger has terrible home road splits. You have to take that into account when you have him on your team. He always gets injured, as we talked about on Tuesday's show. He hasn't played a full season in years. Phillip Rivers has unbelievable amount of weapons, and I think that they have the best defense in their division. I think he's going to have another great year. He's on my team. Phillip Rivers. Kenny Stills went. Devontae Booker, the Vikings defense. Marquise Lee, the Eagles defense. The Chargers defense. Latavius Murray, and David Njoku. Top of the 12th. Dang it. Baltimore Ravens defense. Martavis Bryant. Mike Williams got picked. He was one of those sneaky guys I was trying to get back around to me. Corey Clement. Well, you play with fire, you get burned. Giovanni Bernard, Jordan Matthews, Bilal Powell, and George Kittle. So, guys, I need 2 bench players, kicker defense. I'm going to get my last at one of these positions. At running back, I'm looking at names like Kenneth Dixon, which would be an amazing value right now if he wasn't hurt. Frank Gore. We don't know his role. Could be a first, second down guy. Could be a goal line guy. Could be a higher floor or a high ceiling. Who knows? Oh, man, that's interesting. LeGarrette Blount, I don't really want. Chris Ivory, I don't really want. Peyton Barber, I don't really want. Naheem Hines, I think Marlon Mack is going to have to lose the job for him to be relevant. Spongy P. Ryan, man, this is a short run. Maybe I'll look at wide receiver because there's a lot of names I actually like at wide receiver. I have Josh Doxson, Deshaun Jackson. Josh Doxson, Deshaun Jackson. Kenny Galladay. Ooh. I could get myself some Kenny Galladay. Or do I go for a stack and I get myself Tyrell Williams, which I think they're going to be in 3 wide receiver sets a lot more than they've ever been because Hunter Henry down, Antonio Gates is ancient. You know what? let's do this. Screw it. I'm going to get the stack. Tyrell Williams, he's going around this value anyway in the late 12th round. I got myself a high upside wide receiver for my quarterback, and therefore I could double dip there. Kenny Golladay did go with the next pick, who's a guy who I love this season, by the way, and dang it, a guy who was much further down, and I was debating on actually leaving with as many wide receivers as running backs this season, or in this mock draft, by grabbing Michael Gallup. He could have a big role in Dallas this season. He got drafted. And Jared Goff. Top of the 13th, we have Jack Doyle. We have LeGarrette Blount and Nyheim Hines that went. So now my debate. Do I get my kicker defense, the players that I want, or do I go and get my last guy, which will be a running back? There's still plenty of running backs I like. I expect some of them to make it back to me. A lot of teams still need kicker. Well, every team needs a kicker. Half the teams still need a defense. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to get the kicker I want, and that is Justin Tucker. He is on my team, and it's going to have a run. Kenneth Dixon, Samaje P. Ryan, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Jackson, Josh Doxson, Chris Ivory, Ben Roethlisberger, and Austin Eckler all went. Top of the 14th, we have Kalen Ballage, running back from Miami, if you're not familiar. New Orleans Saints, Matt Ryan, Marcus Mariota, Dak Prescott, Amir Abdullah, interestingly getting drafted, the Seattle Seahawks defense, and the Houston Texans defense. So now, I should probably grab my defense now because there's still a handful of teams that need defenses. Do I get the Broncos, Patriots, Steelers, Panthers, Bears, Falcons, Chiefs, Cardinals, Packers, Giants, Titans, Bengals, Lions, Bills, so on and so forth? Who do I go with here? Broncos defense, I think, is falling apart. The Patriots defense could be quite opportunistic, but they got a little bit of an overhaul there. Steelers, I don't know. We could see. I still think that the Cardinals have good depth, though they lost a lot of pieces. Man, all the defenses I actually want are gone. Did the Saints even go? Let me see something here. Yeah, somebody reached really far down and grabbed the Saints. They're usually a sleeper defense. I like them this season. For the sake of moving the draft along, I'm just gonna grab the Patriots. Just whatever. I wouldn't probably draft them normally, but nobody cares about kicker defenses. Anthony Miller, Broncos, Chiefs defense, Steven Gostkowski, Greg Zuerlein, Harrison Butker, and I'm back on the board. Now let me get Mr. Irrelevant, and in the last round, let's roll the dice. Let's get our hands on the timeless wonder that he is, Frank Gore. So, to recap my team, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, I got a B-. Really? That's unexpected. I did a lot of things that they recommended against. My team, for my standard mock draft, I got quarterback Phillip Rivers, running backs David Johnson and Joe Mixon, wide receivers T.Y. Hilton and Alshon Jeffrey, tight end Trey Burton, flex player Lamar Miller, kicker Justin Tucker, defense the New England Patriots. My bench running backs are Jamal Williams, Kerryon Johnson, and Frank Gore. My bench wide receivers Michael Crabtree, Robert Woods, and Tyrell Williams. Holy hell. I love this team, ladies and gentlemen. I'll probably take this to the guys, and we'll recap it as a warm-up on Tuesday's show. But my initial thoughts are, I think I can compete with this team. I think I easily have the best running back core. None of the other teams come close. A couple of the late-round guys I got, like Kareem Hunt, Dalvin Cook as a stack. That's pretty nice. Leonard Fournette, Devontae Freeman could be decent. Todd Gurley, Jerick McKinnon if McKinnon pans out. But, man, David Johnson and Joe Mixon, sign me up. Question marks at wide receiver only because one's T.Y. Hilton. We don't know what's going on with this quarterback. Alshon Jeffrey, I think that he is – he proved a lot to me last year. He proved me wrong. I guess I can't say he proved me wrong because he did play the exact way I thought he would, but he had a lot more good games than I thought he would. Great season. Trey Burton, sleeper guy who is going to have a massive workload this season. Lamar Miller could have that year where he recaptures his Dolphins magic. I love this team and an unbelievable depth behind it. This is why I wait, ladies and gentlemen, on quarterback and at tight end because look what I got. Phillip Rivers and Trey Burton in double-digit rounds. I'll take that all day because I'm not investing an early third-round pick on Aaron Rodgers or a second-round pick on Travis Kelce or Rob Gronkowski. It's just not happening. So I guess with that, let's get out of here. Guys, let me know. send us a tweet at the FF Fanatics, or you can send one to me at GPalmerFFF. Comment down below if you're on YouTube. Let me know your thoughts on this draft. What would you have done differently? Let's keep it positive. Let's keep the information going. Let's have a good time, and let's talk it out, guys. And we'll be here. I'll do not hot takes, but I'll do a recap. I'll break down this draft a little bit, see what other teams did, what I may have done right or wrong based on things that were out there, and how it turned out. Because I took a couple gambles here. Like I said, I drafted a couple players I wouldn't normally draft in the positions that I drafted them in, but at the end of the day, I really like my team. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys, or send me a tweet, message us on Facebook, whatever it is. Let's just search for the Fantasy Football Fanatics. You will probably find us. And with that, and by we I mean I, am out of here, and I will see you guys on Tuesday. We'll be back for our tight end consensus show, and I'm going to go enjoy my birthday. So everybody, take care. Have a great weekend. I hope you all have a great, safe weekend, and I will see you guys then. Take care, guys. Bye.